Hello everyone, Nigat here, and welcome to another match of Littlewargame. Today's video is on the best of 3 grand finals match between Sqrtofneg1, playing with the red pieces, and WeirdRat, playing with the blue pieces. As I mentioned, this is a grand finals for the $500 Littlewargame tournament that happened on July 8th, hosted by ItanoCircus. And that being the result of a tournament match, we're on Game 3. So if you're curious about the first 2 games that happened, I'll go ahead and do a quick synopsis. But Game 1 happened on Ravaged. It was picked by WeirdRat. Because it's a tournament, both players get to decide the map that they play. So the first map was decided by WeirdRat. He decided to play Ravaged. And on that map, he went for an extremely exciting Rax and Catapult push on 3 bases, which his opponent Sqrtofneg held. On the second game, we see that Sqrtofneg decided to play on Stream Junction, where he played into WeirdRat's Rax style, ending up losing to his style of Rax. And then Game 3, we do see that we're on Xenos. WeirdRat decides to play Beast, opening with Beast, going into a 1-den expand with 2 houses. The second house delays your castle by about 100 gold, but it lets you get additional wolves. This additional wolves will be able to pressure your opponent, where Sqrtofneg decides to go for Rax into 1 Raider. So pretty exciting. It looks like Sqrtofneg has also stopped making workers, which is exactly what you want to do once you're at 11 workers. And then WeirdRat will be able to scout around and see what's going on. If this is your first time seeing one of my videos, I welcome you. Hopefully you enjoy our game. It's called Littlewargame, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy making videos on it, and if you ever want to watch more content about Littlewargame, or potentially more podcasts in the future, this is the place for it. There's other creators as well that are on the platform, but this is the place. Sqrtofneg deciding to go for a 1 Raider expand. So typically what we see with 1 Raider expand is you get the first Raider, you drop the castle, and then you get an archer. Archers are safe because they are relatively quick to build, and they're relatively cheap, so it allows you to get them pretty quickly after placing the castle. But Sqrtofneg1 decided to go for a second Raider. It makes him able to do a lot more pressure with these Raiders. He's also having to pull workers, so you notice that Sqrtofneg1 had to pull these workers to defend. That's because WeirdRat went for that very early or very aggressive den opening, which is the 1-den expand, but getting the 2 house makes you get a lot more wolves here. So he had to pull some workers to defend against this kind of stuff. Now that the second Raider is out, however, Sqrtofneg1 should have a good amount of units to defend against this. In fact, he's even deciding to pressure the wolves here. So typically the ratio is that you want to have 3 wolves for every 1 Raider that your opponent has. It allows your wolves to rotate to regenerate their health and to potentially get some damage down onto these Raiders. WeirdRat, using these wolves, he's definitely going to have to micro them to try to get some surrounds going. So you might see that WeirdRat at times is splitting up his wolves and trying to get a surround going, whereas Sqrtofneg1, he's basically trying to kite these wolves, going in, doing a little bit of damage, well, a good amount of damage actually. These Raiders have a lot of DPS, but then kiting away so that they don't get surrounded and don't get engaged on by these wolves here. Well, while this is going on, WeirdRat decides to go for a Snake Charmer. This allows him to build snakes, snakes being really good against Raiders, so it'll put an end to this harassment. WeirdRat losing a worker, unfortunately, to this Raider run by, losing a wolf as well. In the meantime, let's go ahead and look at what Sqrtofneg1 has decided to do at home. He's decided to build a fortress. So this allows him access to dragons. Typically what we see out of a 1 Rax into Raiders is you see a lot of Raider pressure just like this, And then normally you'll see a very fast expand, a very fast third castle, which will typically put the Rax player in advantage when it comes to the economy. Sqrtofneg1 getting another worker kill. Notice that it was on very low health. Also another very low wolf now. So again, a tremendous advantage to opening up with the raiders is that they're able to do so much damage in the early game. WeirdRat having lost so much already. And now we see why snakes are very strong against a wolf army like this. They're able to do damage from the back, and these raiders do not have a lot of health, only 160 health, which is comparable to the archer's amount of health, having about 160 if I remember correctly. Dragon layers, we do see them go down. So the interesting thing about dragons is that they take a long time to produce. The dragon layers, the fortress, and it's very expensive to produce them as well. However, WeirdRat does not have information about what Sqrtofneg1 is going for, so he's buying a lot of time for his dragons to come out, even though WeirdRat has the supply advantage and has the bigger army in terms of these wolves and snakes. Sqrtofneg1 is buying a lot of time with this raider harass, and we finally do see the first casualty for Sqrtofneg1, having lost one raider to WeirdRat's 5 wolves and 2 worker kills, which is a tremendous loss on the side of WeirdRat here. So again, doing a little bit more pressure, basically kiting back and forth, getting some advantage there. Something I do want to mention about WeirdRat's build that he pointed out to me actually is that when you go for this heavy production style where you're producing a lot of units, and especially with Den, because they produce so quickly and at such a high supply cost, you'll typically need a lot of houses to support this, whereas Sqrtofneg1, he's only decided to get 4 houses simply to make sure he never gets supply blocked even while building these dragons. And WeirdRat has the supply advantage. He has like about 50 supply, trying to get to 60 and 70 pretty quickly with these dens. But Sqrtofneg1 has, you know, just 40 supply, and 40 of those supply with dragons. WeirdRat does decide to get a third base, does see that the dragons are out, and based off of this play, WeirdRat decides that he's lost a little bit too much from this raider harassment and from not being prepared enough against these dragons, that he is okay to GG. He knows he's lost this one, and he decides to GG out of this game. So really well played by Sqrtofneg1, having that very solid raider control into this dragon play. Something that's become a lot more popular recently actually is this raider opening into playing a more beast style, which, you know, in the form of these dragons, that's definitely what we're seeing here. So where does that leave us in terms of the tournament? WeirdRat was on the winner's side of grand finals, so that means that even if he lost this series, he'll get one more shot at being the champion for the $500 Littlewargame tournament through the playing of another best of 3. So the bracket will reset. Sqrtofneg1 and WeirdRat will play one more best of 3 match against each other, and whoever is the victor of that match will win the $500 Littlewargame tournament. If you're interested in watching how that match concludes, I'll be covering it on my channel. All you have to do is subscribe, and the video should come up on your feed. Please leave a like and comment what your favorite part about this video was. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video, and look forward to seeing you guys there.